I wanted to be a CASA volunteer because I wanted to help break the cycle. I wanted to be a voice for the child, to be able to show them that they didn't have to end up another statistic, that they didn't have to become what everybody expected them to become. Being a CASA volunteer, but also being a former foster child, gives me a unique perspective because I can be a voice for that child and really help the courts decide, is it truly in the best interest of the child to go home? If I would have had a CASA early on, I think I would have had a lot less placements. I don't think I would have been in the system as long as I had been. The only reason that I was adopted at 16 is because I chose to be. Going from home to home, there's nothing worse, and until you live it, you don't really understand it, but there's nothing worse from coming home from school one day and finding all your belongings in a black plastic bag, trash bag, and know that you're about to move somewhere else. I'm familiar with many of my items being in those black trash bags or milk crates, and you learn very quickly that you have to build walls to protect yourself because you don't create relationships with people. And I think what's great about being a CASA is it gives that one constant for the child. The social worker may change, the foster parents may change, but at least I have that one person who's with them from day one until the process is over and they're either adopted or sent back to their original family. That's what helps me as a CASA because I can see that perspective. I know that fear of not knowing how long you're going to be in a placement. Do you make friends at school, or are you only going to be there for a short period of time? Do you create relationships with your foster parents? Because it could be years that you live with them, it could be months, it could be days. Do you create relationships with the other children in the house? You really learn to just be you. I think the CASA program is important and beneficial to every foster care case because it's the one person who is 100% focused on the child. You have every other person in the case has to look at it from every angle. They have to think of every individual pawn, where that CASA is focused 100% on the child. In my opinion, every case should have a CASA, and that's why I think it's so important that people volunteer. It's really not that much time out of your life. If you can't be a foster parent, it's the next best thing is to be a CASA. You're giving that child somebody who has faith in them, who has hope in them, who is there for them, and who is going to let them know that they have so much potential in this world to be something better.
Our motivation to do foster care really started whenever I was very young. I had always wanted to adopt, and the foster system really started speaking to me about 21 years old. It took a while for us to get on the same page to want to do this together, but once we did and we started, the motivation was just these kids have nothing and we have everything to give. When kids come into our home, they're usually one of two things. They're either very, very angry, or they are so desperate for attention that they will, love on anyone. They will call anyone mom and dad. They don't care. They need that attention. On the other end is the kids that are just so angry they don't want to talk to you. They don't want you around. They want nothing to do with anybody. And part of that comes from not being able to trust that you're going to stick around, because nobody else in their life has. It's heartbreaking, really, because a lot of times in these cases, the CASA worker is the only one that is consistent. Because when a CASA worker starts with a kid, they're going to be with them through the whole time that they're in foster care. It's really helpful for them to know that they have one person that they can count on that's going to be their voice, that their only motivation is to do what is best for that child and what that child wants. A lot of times the team is going to make a decision that might be best for the child, but it's not what the child wants. The CASA worker is there to go ahead and speak for the child regardless of what the team thinks, and to have that child's back no matter what, because that's their job, is to be supportive for the child, and that's very vital. It's needed, and the kids need to know that there's somebody that doesn't have an ulterior motive or doesn't have an end goal in sight. It's just for them right here, right now, what they need.